What's up everyone, this is Tony with Journey Crypto. Welcome back to another video. So things are not looking good in the crypto market. Last video we talked about this death cross, which could be an indicator you're entering a bear market. It's been a continuous downtrend since then, very sharp overall. I do think we're pretty oversold at this point. We're going to see a bounce. Even if we are entering a bear market, you will still see a bounce, especially after a first big crash like this. But if we're actually entering a bear market, we aren't 100% certain at this point. I put this zone here as being worried we'd be in a bear market. We pretty much touched the top of that and bounced back up, currently around 85,000. The thing about the death cross is we've had 3 in this cycle so far, which all of them resulted in new all-time highs afterwards. But you also have a death cross entering the bear market. You can see here, last bull market, we had this death cross here. Bitcoin was around $43,000 at that point. And then bottom of the bear market was around $15,000. So over 50% crash more after that death cross. You can see here though, it even had a bounce in the short term, where after the death cross, it dropped to around 34,000, and then it's recovered back up to around 48,000 before entering the bear market. So generally you would have a decent, correction here before entering a continuous downtrend if we were entering the bear market, especially this being this sharp and this quick of a downtrend. So if I was personally looking for an exit here, worried we were entering a bear market and just not wanting to hold right now, I would wait for a bounce to around $92,000 to $98,000 here in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm going to go over some different opinions and analysis from experts in the space, going over possibilities of bear market, some bullish stuff, and just different opinions overall. So with such a big market crash, a lot of institutions are taking advantage of this, scooping up a lot more crypto and lowering their average entry points. Bitmine Immersion adds 54,000 ETH to its treasury. Strategy and Michael Saylor scoop up 8,178 Bitcoin in a massive new buy. He's talking about buying a lot more as well. So even though Bitmine acquired a lot of Ethereum, that's not looking good for them. Bitmine Immersion faces $4 billion unrealized loss on Ethereum. Pretty huge. So Tom Lee, he made a statement here a few days ago stating that Ethereum will bottom this week. It's looking a lot worse since then, but I'll play a quick clip from this.
Personally, I think that we're pretty close to bottoming this week.
What makes you stay bullish?
Well, there's the story of building on Ethereum, and we know that there is a lot taking place. There are stablecoin creations. Larry Fink and BlackRock and Wall Street want to tokenize assets, bring stocks, bonds, real estate onto the blockchain, and they have to find a neutral 100% uptime blockchain. That's Ethereum.
So I thought this post was pretty interesting. This will be the first 5-year cycle. Personally, I think these extended cycles are history at this point. There's just too many institutions and governments and everything involved. I think we're going to have short-term bear and bull markets, and it's going to follow more like the stock market. We're not going to see parabolic huge rallies like this and then massive crashes all within a couple month span of time. Something like that could still happen if something extremely bullish happens, but not as likely. I think the pumps are going to be smaller overall and crashes smaller as well. Shorter. We're not going to have 4-year bear markets like before. So this is an interesting take, though. He thinks we're right here in the disbelief zone. We're having a correction right before things really rally. 4-year bulls think we're right here before the peak. And then 4-year bears think we're right here entering the bear market. So no one really knows. You have to keep this in mind. No one is right 100% of the time. No one has a crystal ball. If they did, they'd be multi-billionaire and not care to be posting on X. So another post here kind of along the same lines as that, saying, are you ready? Showing here in 2020 where we had a decent pump and then a huge correction. Same thing here, looks similar, huge pump and then big correction. 2025, kind of stating where we are in that same phase of the market cycle. So large Bitcoin accumulation amid sell-off. The biggest Bitcoin accumulation is happening right in the middle of a market sell-off. Long-term capital is stepping in aggressively while short-term sentiment capitulates. So long-term believers are dollar cost averaging, they're filling their bags, while short-term retail investors are selling due to extreme fear. So this is pretty bad. OG Bitcoin whale sold $1.3 billion of Bitcoin. Not only that, Owen Gunden, he's been a holder of Bitcoin since 2011, has now sold all 11,000 Bitcoin worth $1.3 billion. One of Bitcoin's earliest whales is out. So that's very bearish. This guy held through every cycle where he could have sold for hundreds of millions and then bought back through the bear market. He hasn't done any of that and now is selling every single Bitcoin, getting 1.3 billion. That's pretty worrisome in my opinion. Is there something that he knows that no one else does, or is he just over the cycles? But then at the same time, we have Satoshi era whales buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. This Satoshi era whale bought 10,000 Bitcoin worth 1 billion. Does he know the bottom is in? And then again, so Satoshi era whale just bought another 10,000 Bitcoin. He went all in, stacking over 20,000 Bitcoin in just 2 days. So while you have one whale selling 1.3 billion, you have another whale around the same time acquiring over 20,000 Bitcoin, canceling that out. So everything is all over the place right now. And like I said, no one has a crystal ball and knows. Breaking the fear and greed index falls to 9, the lowest level since April 11th. So the S&P 500 down 4% from its record high and up 37% since the April low. This is simply not what you see before a market crash. And then we have BitMEX founder saying Bitcoin will be in a bull market until 2028. Be prepared. So I'm going to play a quick clip of this.
She is talking about printing money to help households pay for goods and services because of the high inflation that was caused by the printed money of the previous administration, who she loves, Abenomics. So they're printing money in Japan, and then the ECB is going to have to print more money to save the euro. So again, all around the world, the politicians are going to print more money. And so I see it as a completely different scenario than, let's even talk about 2021, when Jerome Powell was talking about tightening credit, when every central bank was tightening credit because of inflation. We are in a scenario where the politicians around the world, regardless of where you live, are talking about spending more money without raising taxes. And so that's why I believe that this particular cycle will extend. I think it's going to extend into 2027, 28 time period. But again, who knows how long it will go for. But as long as the politicians are going to print money to hand out goodies to people to support them, we're going to keep going higher as a crypto ecosystem.
So while Arthur Hayes is bullish on bull markets lasting until 2028, he's also stating Bitcoin could first dip to 80 to 85,000, then rip to 200 to 250,000, which it just did this if the Fed fires up the money printer. So he's stating if all of these governments start printing tons of money to prop up the economy, it's going to be very bullish. Also, Arthur Hayes has been selling millions of dollars worth of altcoins in the last couple weeks. It's important to look at what people are doing, not just what they're saying. But he is stating as well that he is bearish short term, but very bullish long term. So while he just sold on this dip, very likely he'll buy back a lot here in the next few weeks, depending on what happens. Also here, Lark Davis posted a summary of this stuff. President Trump is planning a $2,000 stimulus check. Japan is preparing for a $110 billion stimulus package, which is what Arthur Hayes just talked about. China is giving a 1.4 trillion stimulus package. The US is issuing 1.9 trillion in treasuries every year. The Fed is about to end QT. Canada is starting QE. Global M2 supply is sitting at record highs. So much liquidity is about to flow into the market. Do you think these are signs of a bull market ending? So very important to look at these things happening on the horizon. While things are bearish and extreme fear right now, if all these governments start printing this much, it's not only going to give people money on hand to spend, but also cause a lot of inflation. Kalshi traders forecast Bitcoin to drop as low as 82,000. It already did that. This played out pretty quickly, very sharp drop. So that's why I think a decent bounce is likely to happen here in the next week. Dan posted altcoin market cap is back at its over level for the 5th time in the last 3 years. Except this time 3 years of QT ends in 2 weeks. Right now, I'd rather fail as an investor and it goes to 0 than sell right before expansion. So this is very true and why it's so important to have a good entry and exit strategy. If you have a good entry strategy, you could simplify things and make this a lot less stressful. Unless you're doing this full time and you're day trading and flipping, you should really have a simplified long-term strategy, which is what most people have that are successful in the space. If you just FOMO in when things are rallying really hard and then you exit when there's extreme fear, you're most likely going to lose in this space. But if you have a good solid long-term strategy where you're dollar cost averaging, maybe flipping with a smaller percent of your portfolio on buying good projects, coins, you're most likely going to do really well long-term, at least 5 years plus out. So personally, that's what I would be doing every time we have a big correction, dollar cost averaging. When the bear market comes, continue dollar cost averaging every month or so. Make your own plan that works for you and what you can afford. So this is the worst quarter four we've seen in 7 years. You can see quarter four down 20%. It hasn't been this bad since 2018. Quarter four down 42%. It is important to check quarter one of 2019. It was up 9%. So even if things get worse temporarily, very likely quarter one is going to be in the positive and looking good, even if it is temporary. You can also see 2019 followed by a 160% gain here. So just 2 quarters after the worst quarter we've seen here on 7 years, followed by one of the best. So you have to keep that in mind as well, especially with these big things on the horizon. Just in 95% of all Bitcoin bought in the last 155 days is now underwater. This is higher than COVID levels, which was 92%, and FTX, which was 94%. And these were major bearish things that happened, pretty much bottom of bear market. So this could be a bottom here, or things could temporarily get worse before they get better. I've seen a lot of people saying that there's no major reason why things are this bad right now and at this level of extreme fear like we had here, where it just made sense. But we're also not in bear market territory like we were for these 2 events as well. So some good news, Nvidia stock rises 5% after announcing record quarterly revenue of $57 billion. That's $205 billion of market cap on this move. So immediately after this was announced, $205 billion was added to the market cap. Let's take a quick look at the market cap of cryptos here, the top ones. So 250 billion, you can see that's almost the entire market cap of Ethereum. That's more than the entire market cap of XRP and BNB combined. Solana only at 70 billion, just insane. And after that, it drops below 10 billion, drops very quickly. So this just goes to show how small the crypto space still is overall. Bitcoin's the only one in the trillions market cap. So this is the longest consecutive days of extreme fear in Bitcoin history. Pretty insane. Bitcoin is the most oversold it's been in over 2 years. Bitcoin most oversold since August 2023. Another post stating the same. Most oversold levels since the bottom of the bear market 3 years ago. So if you check out the RSI, it's generally a good indicator to look at, especially if you want a dollar cost average when Bitcoin is at oversold levels. Dollar cost averaging in those zones tends to play out well long term. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson states Bitcoin will be up to 250,000 by end of 2026. So a lot of experts in the space, people that are working in the space and living it every single day, are still very bullish on Bitcoin and crypto throughout 2026, especially, like I said, with all that printing and inflation on the horizon. And then we had a Tether just bought the dip with $1 billion. For the first time ever, they used 1 billion USDT from their own treasury to buy Bitcoin. Definitely a good sign they're accumulating at this phase. And we also have the highest recorded IQ holder stating Bitcoin is going to hit $220,000 in the next 45 days. But there has been a lot of controversy around this. People calling him out, saying that his IQ is that's recorded is fake, and he's just doing this to scam people basically. Which he has gotten a lot of deals off this. He's now launching his own crypto as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and if his prediction is accurate or not. Most likely not. So if you guys want breaking news as it's happening and to see stuff like this as it's happening, definitely follow Block News over on X. You can also check out blocknews.com. That's my crypto NFT Web3 news website. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.